Hey everyone, so we are coming up on the 5th anniversary of a very dark day here in El Paso. We are talking about the August 3rd shooting at the Cielo Vista Walmart. But today we're not going to focus on the darkness of that day. We're going to focus on how art can be used as a way to heal from the anger that came as a result of that horrific attack. So we are talking today about Acts of Kindness. It is a play written by Gregory Ramos. He is a former UTEP theater professor. I met Gregory a long time ago. He actually interviewed me as part of this play. He interviewed many members of the community. And this is the first time that this play is being staged in El Paso. So I'm excited to talk to two creatives who are a big part of bringing this production to life. It's going to be staged on August 2nd and August 3rd at the El Paso Museum of Art. So let's get right into it. I am Robert Olguin, and this is Bordertown. Hey everyone, so we are talking now to Samantha and Aleana, and we're talking about this play that obviously is a somber subject, but it also celebrates resiliency. So why don't we begin, Samantha, just like break down your role, and then we'll talk to you, Aleana, too, about your role. But let's break down just what you're doing with this play and where it begins.
Okay, so I'm Samantha Michelle Nava. I'm one of the co-directors of Acts of Kindness, the El Paso play. I'm directing with the brilliant Adriana Dominguez. And the way that this play itself came about, Gregory Ramos, the playwright, was actually a professor at UTEP during the late 90s, 2000s. And he, has that tie to El Paso. So when, everything happened on August 3rd, he came back at that point and wanted to kind of get people's different stories and their personal connections to what happened. And he's a playwright by trade, like that's his niche. So he interviewed several people and created this beautiful piece. Adriana Dominguez was actually one of his students, or a student at the time when he was there. So she's had this, connection to him throughout all these years. And each year we put a season selection committee together to choose what productions we're going to do for the following year. And she knew that the 5th year anniversary was coming up. So she proposed this play. And, he kind of, went through different kind of thought process of how to produce this. But we really wanted the production to come out around and possibly on August 3rd. So that is outside of our academic calendar. So we were able, fortunately, to get some different funding from different resources, from our department at UTEP, the theater department, the College of Liberal Arts at UTEP, the Mexican American Cultural Center, and the one that came in last, but kind of was gracious enough to provide the space, was El Paso Museum of Art. So that's where this production is going to be performed.
Yeah. I've known Gregory for a very long time. Brilliant, talented guy. I remember when he was at UTEP, and I got to know him there. And I am one of the people he interviewed for this play.
Yep,
and
that's correct.
I'd actually forgotten about that interview because it was so long ago. But you mentioned we're coming up on the 5th year here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how this play works. Because he's using excerpts of interviews that he did with the community, and he's building a narrative. So talk to me as an actor how this play works.
So this play is an amalgamation. You'll see different characters who are real people, but other characters who are kind of molded stories of those experiences that were, told throughout those interviews. So it's just really interesting seeing just going through the process and kind of experiencing these characters as we continue throughout this production.
Yeah. Because you're portraying real people, and then there's also what has to be the artistic vision, the through line.
Right.
So how do you approach directing material like that?
So one thing that Adriana and I agreed on was we didn't want to necessarily mimic people, right? Because there are real people in our production, we still wanted to give the artistic kind of freedom to our artists to be able to make their own interpretation of their words, of the people's words, but still staying true to their personal experience. So some did research, some, as you kind of mentioned, and Aliana mentioned, are characters that were kind of molded from different interviews. So, some are real people like yourself, and others are made up characters that were kind of put together
like an
from
amalgam.
other people. Yeah. So for me, I'm also a voice and speech teacher at UTEP. So I have really worked with all of our students and our actors, because some of them are actually community members as well, on physicality and voice. If we're looking at a medical professional versus a local politician, how do they each walk, talk, move? And we're looking at those things. And I feel because this subject of the show is so heavy and so personal to all of us, focusing on that has, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, has helped us kind of get through it, because it is very emotional. And we had a read through and all of us are crying at the table because it still hurts so much.
Yeah, of course. Do you find that helps mitigate the weight, the emotional weight of obviously this kind of subject matter?
I truly believe so, just because I know a lot of the actors involved, apologies, and the crew, directors, everybody has gone through their own experience that same day. So in this process, it's also kind of a connection for the actors and everybody involved, as also a healing process. So I think it's also a much better connection.
Oh, that's such a great point. I mean, really, that's ultimately what we're aiming for here,
yes,
right?
Healing, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. Okay, so we're talking about the 50th anniversary. We're talking about the emotional weight of this material. We're talking about staging it on or near the anniversary itself, right? I think it will be staged on August 3rd.
Yeah,
Yes.
we actually open August 2nd, which is Friday at 7 o'clock. But there will be showing on August 3rd and 4th at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. All these things coming together under the auspices of healing and again, celebrating resilience. How do you feel like the community will respond to this? How do you feel like watching this come to life on stage? How do you think that's going to feel to an audience?
Very, very complicated, just because everybody has, as said previously, their own experience of that same day. We will have a mental health therapist present at all 3 shows. So just in case anybody has any trauma that is brought up for that same day, thankfully, through those resources that we've received, hopefully this is more of that healing experience. So I would love to say more positively, but this is also a very complicated subject matter.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. It is complicated. It's complicated for people who lived through it, like firsthand. It's complicated for the community who experienced it. Not to mention, and maybe we can broach this subject now, this was, unlike other senseless, horrific mass shootings that have sadly happened across the country, this had a racial component. This was a targeted community. How does that complicate? I mean, I haven't seen the play yet, so I don't know how the narrative handles it, but how does that complicate the portrayal?
I think the play, the way that it's written, it very brilliantly pays tribute to the victims and survivors. But in the case of a racial shooting, it doesn't shy away from it. And I'm going to be honest about that. Like, we want this to be a very healing and loving process, but also for us to not remember the actions and maybe events, words that took place that inspired this. And we don't want people to forget that. So we can keep it at the forefront of our mind and do what is necessary to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah. Do you feel that way?
Exactly the same. Just the weight that this carries is, it's still something that's prevalent, but what had happened was very much so, and continues to be a call for action.
Mm-hmm.
Theater can do that, right?
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you say to those who might say, listen, let's not revisit this day? I mean, I think we're already getting a sense of your answer. Mm-hmm. But what would you say, because I hear it as a journalist, like, let's just not revisit this. Let's not go back there. Let's just move past this.
Well, a lot of complicated and unfortunate things are things that we do have to revisit. Events, history, because this, acknowledging it, revisiting it, it will bring about change. And that is the current effort, even outside of this production. Just going back and being able to acknowledge that, yes, this happened, but there are other like outlying problems that are still related to what was experienced.
Yeah.
Other things that need to be, well, I'm missing the word for it right now, but to be able to not necessarily move past this, to carry it with us and go about creating that change.
And so if I'm not misunderstanding you, then if we go and we attend this play and we listen to its message, we're coming away with what? Especially like if we, like, again, you're staging this on August 2nd and August 3rd. Mm-hmm. How do you address the topic and address the mission without also just bumming people out on a dark day? Does that make sense? Is that a fair question?
Definitely. Again, I think it shows the brilliance of Gregory Ramos. He brings people's personal stories to the forefront for us to witness and heal and hear together, right? But also it celebrates the beautiful love that our community has for each other, and that's what's highlighted as well in this show, that a tragic thing happened to all of us, and we really came together and showed our support, showed our love, and really, embraced each other to help each other up. So I think that is also the core of this show. So, not only is it looking at the tragedy of that day, but celebrating who we are as a community as well.
I think that's a good place to end it. Let's talk specifics about when people can watch this show and how to get more information about it.
Yeah. So our showings will be August 2nd at 7 p.m. and August 3rd and 4th at 1 p.m. Every showing is going to be in the El Paso Museum of Art, and it's completely free to attend. We are not charging any money. We really want to present this to the community as an opportunity to come together to heal. If you need more information, you can look at the UTEP Instagram or Facebook account. Our handles are UTEP Theater at UTEP Theater Dance. We're going to be posting all that information, reminding people, asking you to share those posts as well. Or you can email us if you want a little bit more specific information. My personal email is smnava, Nava 5 at utep.edu, and I'll be more than happy to answer anybody's questions about the production.
Okay. Anything else that maybe you'd like to add to the end of this, or do you feel like we've covered what we needed to cover?
I feel like we covered what we needed to cover.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming in and talking to us about this, and thank you for putting this on. I know it can't be easy, and I know that it must be something you're going to carry with you, and it's something that probably is difficult to shoulder day to day. So thank you both for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.